Welcome back to the Talk Yours podcast, and today we'll be picking one free agent that we feel fits best for every single team. We are including the players that teams might have to re-sign if they're restricted free agents, so we're not just strictly going off of players that weren't on the team last year. It's an interesting free agency. It doesn't have the big names that a lot of other free agencies do. I think in looking through this, it really made us realize the state of the NBA today, where it's so much more about trades and re-signing the players you have because of the way that the aprons are set up.
But there's still
good
role players.
Pieces. And that's what it is mostly. I don't feel like a roster is going to get dramatically better through what happens this free agency, but I feel like good rosters can make themselves contenders, and teams can make themselves better. No one's going to bring themselves up from the basement through a free agent signing, but if you're a good team, there's opportunities to be had here.
So, all right, first team, we're going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers. So I have two answers. I did say, bringing back Yabusele or signing Trey Lyles. I think they just really need a really good fitting power forward because they kind of have everything else. Drummond already signed back with the Sixers. They have so many guards now with Edgecombe, with McCain, with Maxey and all that. They just need a wing and one that specifically, if they have to play center, but for the most part, just be a good connecting four. So Trey Lyles, good shooter, rebounder, all that. Yabusele was already good with the team last year, just bringing him back.
No, I mean, I definitely see your point with that. And for most of this list, I did go with fit, so I don't think we're going to disagree as much as we have on the talent fit thing. Yeah. But I did go talent here because I think you have an opportunity to bring back Quentin Grimes. I think with the way everything is structured now, it's really hard to go get a guy of that level without already having him on their team, and they're fortunate enough to have him on their team while he's a restricted free agent. So I think you definitely go and bring him back.
Even with the rumors, he's asking $25 million a year. You're paying Quentin Grimes $25 million a year?
Hey, man, I mean, it's not favorable, I guess, but with the way he played last year, I know he was just on his own, but he looks like a damn good sixth man.
But is he the sixth man when you have is he better than McCain, do you think?
I mean, it just depends. It just depends where you want to put those guys. Do you want to start VJ Edgecombe? Do you want to start McCain? You probably don't start McCain and Maxey, so you do probably start VJ Edgecombe or Quentin Grimes. And then you have Edgecombe and Maxey off the bench.
I think actually...
Or not
Maxey.
McCain. Edgecombe and McCain.
I think actually that makes sense. It just kind of sucks for Jared McCain because he was so good, had an injury, and now you have VJ Edgecombe and Grimes next to him. Like it sucks for him, but I think that's good for Philly.
It does, but if there's one guy that I've seen in the NBA so far who has the personality to take on that kind of role, it's definitely Jared McCain. I know people shit on his personality a little bit, and I can understand why it's off-putting to some people, but he's genuinely like a guy that you want to have on your team because I feel like he'll fit into whatever role and play it. So
yeah, I think he's really just happy to be there.
Yeah, I really think he is. And I mean, goodness, if you look at that back, like you say, okay, our bench backcourt looks really good with McCain and Edgecombe. That's your future right there. Next team is the Milwaukee Bucks, and they're definitely in a really difficult situation with Dame still being on their books and unable to play all of next year. That's basically $57 million, I think, in just dead cap space that you can't even use. So looking at what they need, obviously no Dame. They need a starting point guard. There's really no perfect option for me. So I went with Dennis Schroeder. He's a serviceable borderline starting point guard. He can defend. He can score. In terms of being like a distributor, he's not necessarily a good distributor, but Giannis historically is a guy who operates best when he's kind of the main playmaker. So I don't think it hurts them that he's not this great passer. And he gives them a bit of an offensive kick. He gives them another guy who can actually go score with the ball in his hands, which they severely lack, honestly. I mean, Bobby Portis is an offensive option, but he is primarily like a catch and shoot guy. And Kuzma, I would not trust given what he showed in the playoffs last year. So I would go Dennis Schroeder.
I understand that logic, but this Bucks team has no offense or defense. But I'm not solving defense with these. I went Chris Paul. I have Russell Westbrook. I have guys like Malcolm Brogdon, but this is the only team that I'm actually picking D'Lo. D'Lo should be the main target because he is someone who actually gives the Bucks hope offensively, and it's not just Giannis and I guess Kuzma. Because right now they have no lead kind of guard, and I understand Giannis is best, as like an initiator, but I don't want 82 games of him being an initiator. I just don't. So
that's true, but do they even have enough money to go get D'Lo?
D'Lo might have to settle. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how much D'Lo's going to make. If he gets a ton of money, I think it's only going to be from Brooklyn. I don't think any other team's going to overpay him. Next team, Chicago Bulls. This roster, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what direction they're heading. I don't even know what direction they really should head toward besides a full rebuild. So I'm giving them a center. Right now they only have Vucevic. I'm giving them Day'Ron Sharpe. I think they have some sort of exception or something where they actually can sign and trade for him. And if the Nets aren't willing to pay Day'Ron Sharpe, he's a very good center, especially offensively. And he's like the only good young center on the market.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. I mean, it's a solid pickup for them, and Vucevic is not your long-term option at center if you're sticking with the timeline of these other guys. Which again, I don't know what Chicago's doing, but theoretically, their younger group of players is in their like early 20s, with that being headed by like Kobe White being the oldest of those guys. So if that's the core you're sticking with, then Day'Ron Sharpe makes sense. I think personally, you actually re-sign Giddey. I know he's a defensive liability, but in terms of a playmaker, he is the best playmaker available on the market, especially for the fact that they can re-sign him as a restricted free agent. And also, they looked good with him last year. Obviously not great, but they're young. They're still figuring out their core. You would hope Montas is going to get better. And so I think they really need a playmaker, and I don't know how they fill that need if they don't re-sign Giddey.
It makes sense. I just kind of didn't put him because I don't think Giddey has a market. Even if you do pay him $30 million, it's not because he has a market, and I just think it's kind of a given they re-sign him. I could be wrong about that. Maybe somehow a different team takes him from them, but
maybe it is a given. I do think even if it's a given, it's their most important move.
Yeah,
to make. So next team, we're going the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, Cleveland had an amazing regular season, but fell short in the playoffs to what ended up being a very good Pacers team. I think that the loss gets better with age. When you look at their loss, losing in 5 is bad as the number 1 seed and the second best team record-wise, but they certainly have hope moving forward. They don't have a lot of money, however. They are one of 2 teams in the second apron, along with the Phoenix Suns, so anybody they sign will have to be on a veteran minimum. And for that reason, I actually had them going and getting Al Horford. They need a backup big. They need a guy with experience. Al Horford can space the floor. He can play defense even at almost 40 years of age. I really don't. I mean, they could go a couple other directions, but I think you're in a win now mentality. Al Horford, even at his age, is more of a win now player. And let's say you move away from Jared Allen and go to one big with Mobley, you definitely need a backup big then.
Yeah, because injuries happen. I have the same thing, Al Horford, and then in a bonus one, if they can get him for cheap, I have Paul Reed. I think he's a good backup, but it's mostly Al Horford. The only way he returns to Boston is if they pay him a ton of money, and they don't need to because they're not trying to contend next year. So, yeah I think Horford's going to a different team, and then Cleveland would be a good fit. It'd be different from Jared Allen because he's more of a stretch big, gives him that versatility. And then, so next team, I have the Boston Celtics. I put Bol because it seems like they're trying to rebuild for 1 year to me, retool. And if there's one player you kind of want to retool, it is Bol. Like he has potential. Now, does he have the defensive IQ? No, but maybe getting a bunch of reps will get him to earn that. I mean, right now they traded Porzingis for essentially nothing, like Georges Niang. How much are they going to play him if they're trying to win? I don't know. So just get a center. This is actually a center with potential, even if it's like a low risk potential kind of thing, which most teams can't afford that, but the Celtics can.
Yeah, I also have Bol. I think and we've been saying this for years, but he still has the potential that he had when he came into the league. And if there's one team that can afford to take that risk right now because you have a top 10 player in the league coming back in a year, it's the Celtics, right? So why not play around with it a little bit? If worse comes to worse, you found another piece that can really work for your championship hopes in 26-27. So I 100% agree with that.
Memphis Grizzlies.
Is it the Grizzlies next or is it the Clippers?
Oh no, it's the Clippers. Oh, I forgot.
So Clippers, again, interesting team, had success this year, but I don't think it was to the level that their roster, like the amount of money they invested into that roster, and obviously we're at the end of the kind of Kawhi era of the Clippers. I don't really know what they have left, but they don't have a playmaker past Harden. That was one of their biggest issues this year, is that they don't have anyone to create offense. And I think they have a decent group of guys with Norman Powell coming off the bench, which I would think he would. I mean, I don't necessarily know that you start him.
Yeah, he's probably going to come off the bench.
So I have them getting Malcolm Brogdon as backup point guard. I feel like Malcolm Brogdon is perfect in the backup point guard role. He's underrated. He has size. He can play defense. He can pass. He can score if you need him to. He's not exceptional at any number of those things, except he might be a little bit of an above average passer. But, you know, as a backup point guard, he fills all of the gaps that a team like the Clippers would need.
Yeah. I have Chris Paul and Clint Capella, who ironically were both teammates with James Harden. So you bring that to the Clippers. I think the Clippers are in this weird kind of thing where they're taking it year by year because how good will this roster be in 2 to 3 years? It's an older roster for sure. And Chris Paul is going to help your team win immediately. Maybe not win the NBA Finals, but it's just going to be a good either starting point guard or good guard off the bench. And then Clint Capella, they need a backup center. They did just draft a backup center at pick 30 this draft, but he's probably not going to make the rotation. I'd actually be pretty mad if he does, unless he's just that good.
I frankly, I mean, it's the rare exception at center that you see them make the rotation year one if they're outside the top 10, honestly. Yeah. Because it's hard to be a center in the NBA.
Unless if you're tanking, you'll get a ton of minutes. If you're on a good team, you most likely will not play year one as a center.
Unless you're just like a physical freak. And again, most of those guys probably go in the top 10, top 15 anyway. So
yeah, cool.
Yep.
All right, Memphis Grizzlies. I have them re-signing Aldama or just signing Larry Nance Jr. I just think Larry Nance just really fits what they are. They do need another backup center. He's athletic. He'll catch lobs with John Morant. He'll catch a job for sure. Catch lobs with John Morant, and then Aldama. I think not only do they really need to retain their starting power forward or like backup power forward, 6-man kind of. He just also kind of fits the team, and then I just don't know what other power forward they'd want on the market. So I think Aldama is a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, Aldama is a good fit. I prefer Larry Nance Jr. as a player, which is why I just have him listed. Patrick Star himself, if you know, you know. But yeah, I think he offers them just a similar dimension to their offense as Aldama does, just at a little bit of a higher level.
And similar to Brandon Clark.
And similar to Brandon Clark. He just is the type of big that would fit well next to Ja and that roster. I am, on a side note, I am a little concerned about that roster's scoring ability, trading Bane.
Yeah.
Because you definitely filled out the roster more. But who is the second? Like, is it JJJ? Because he definitely showcased more of an ability to go off the dribble this year. But well, I mean, it just tells me they have a lot of confidence in him, so I'm interested to see how that works out.
I think they still have some good. They have GG Jackson. They have Jalen Wells. They have
they have their younger guys too,
who are just kind of hurt. Also, I mean, I think Zach Edey eventually will be a scoring option, like third, fourth, fifth, or something. But he is hurt right now.
And hey, if anything this season showed us is that a team without really like another great ball handling scorer, can go to the championship and compete for a title in the Pacers. So, I mean, obviously it's not like a problem as long as your roster works around it. Yeah. So, next team
is the Atlanta Hawks. Yep. You go first, and then don't look at mine.
No, I was just curious to see what you have, because you definitely didn't. I think mine's way crazier than yours. So the Hawks are a team in a really interesting position right now. They are significantly invested in their current roster financially. Especially with the trade for Porzingis. What they lack a lot of off the bench is a wing / guard, I feel like. Because I feel like you want to start Risache, you want to start Jalen Johnson.
Yeah.
You want to start Dyson Daniels, you want to start Trey, and you're going to start Porzingis. That's probably your starting 5 next year. Off the bench, it's like, how much do you trust Kobe Buffkin? How much do you trust Vic Krejci? And even if you trust those guys, you still need to fill out the guard / wing spot.
Yeah.
So there are guys. I had them going a way different route than you probably did. I think Dante Exum is actually a pretty good signing for the Hawks. I think he's had career bests in 3-point percentage the last 2 years. I think he's a guy who can defend. I think he's a guy who, I mean, he's not obviously this blow you away type of player, but he can play 1 through 3. He can distribute, which the Hawks lack off their bench, is that secondary distributor.
I guess. I think what you're missing is, though, we have I know like you don't want to just because you have a trade exception, you don't want to make a bad contract or anything. $25 million trade exception is by far and away the largest in the league.
Yeah.
Like, we can sign anyone we want because we'll just make it a sign and trade and use that exception. And this is the year for the Hawks to capitalize. I'm a Hawks fan, if you didn't know. No, we have to go get someone big. So the three people I have is Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Quentin Grimes, and Ty Jerome. Any one of those, I'd be kind of fine with paying $25 million. Maybe Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I don't want to pay him $25 million.
Yeah.
But Ty Jerome and Quentin Grimes have proven to be really good role players in this league. And like, okay, so Ty Jerome, obviously, with the playmaking and stuff, good off the bench.
Yeah.
I also, by the way, I think Dante Exum gives you kind of a similar play style as Kobe Buffkin. Not like super similar, but Kobe Buffkin is a defending guard whose offense, we haven't seen much of his offense. That's kind of the same thing. Dante Exum cannot create offense for himself.
Right, but Dante Exum can, shoot the three at a pretty good rate.
Can he? Because
over the last 2 seasons, he's averaged 49 and 43% from three, respectively.
And that's great, but he's playing with Luka Doncic, and Trae Young is a similar kind of offensive guard.
Yeah, would you give Trae Young like a degree of credit in that regard to be that type of playmaker? He led the NBA in assists this year.
I will, but I still want an actual good I want a really good offensive option that can create. So I think my ideal one is Quentin Grimes.
Right.
I think paying him $25 million a year, where potentially Philly won't match that because it is a lot of money for someone who only showed his quote unquote stardom for like half a season. He's actually going to make contested shots kind of in a similar way that Bogdan did, but also Quentin Grimes can defend. He's not some super elite defender, but the Hawks need offense.
Yeah.
Our offense last year was abysmal, at least compared to what I'm used to watching with the Atlanta Hawks, because like Dyson Daniels, Riza J, all these guys are super flawed offensive players. I want someone who just looks super solid. And to me, that's not Dante Exum, or personally.
Yeah.
I want to get a star because right now is the time to compete in the East. If you are one of like, let's say the Pistons, the Hawks, the Sixers, the Knicks, this is the year with Jason Tatum being out, with Giannis having no one next to him.
That's why the Hawks made the trade for Porzingis in the first place. It just shows that they think they have a shot this year.
Right. And I think maybe hindsight will make us look stupid if, the Hawks or like whatever team in the East doesn't actually win it all and they make some stupid signing. But to me, it's worth it right now. And hopefully it's not a DeJounte Murray type of thing. But even then, we're signing one of these guys. We're not giving up assets for him, So it gets a sign and trade. I don't think we'd give up an asset. We'd give like a second round pick because we'd have to for a trade. But yeah, so I have high hopes. We obviously very much disagree. I'm willing to make a stupid decision.
Do we disagree though? Because I'm just kind of looking at it from the perspective of a financially smart thing, and you're looking at it.
So you wouldn't even just let the trade exception expire?
My concern is that you have young guys on your roster that you're going to want to re-sign at some point. So you want to invest because Grimes is going to want like a multi-year deal. I would assume like 3 to 4 years.
Right, but so 3 to 4 years, and then we'd pay Dyson eventually.
Jalen Johnson.
We already paid Jalen Johnson though.
Oh, you did?
I think, but also Porzingis is a contract that I just wouldn't be surprised if after next year we just let him go. So that cap we get right back.
So maybe it is the move to make. But I think in terms of our schools of thought, we're going for similar players. Just mine is cheaper.
Yeah,
worse.
cheaper, worse. Mine, I'm going for.
You're going in on it.
I'm going all in. Okay, cool. That's enough Hawks talk. Atlanta Heat.
Atlanta Heat.
Oh my gosh, I'm losing it too.
All right,
I'm going crazy. Miami Heat. They need. I like Kawhi. Dude, I can't talk right now. Kawhi. I like Khalil Ware at the 4, or Bam at the 4, and then Khalil Ware at the 5. I said it wrong again. Whatever. I think they need a backup center, and they have. I believe they also have a trade exception. So I had them going and getting either Chris Boucher is the cheaper option, not as good, but can stretch the floor, and if not him, Kevon Looney, just a really good rebounder. If the Warriors decide not to pay him what he wants, two overall really good centers. I think that's what they need. I think they have enough guard and wing play.
Yeah. I have them going Bruce Brown just because I think you can never have too many good solid wings in the modern NBA. And I think they might have Khalil Ware coming off the bench just because it depends on what kind of lineup you want to run in that starting 5. Wiggins doesn't space the floor a ton from the 3. So Khalil Ware obviously can shoot the 3, but he's also not going to space it a ton. Bam's not going to space it a ton. So do you start like Tyler Hero and Davion Mitchell? Like, what does your starting lineup look like? Because in that case, Tyler Hero is your only shooter in that lineup. So you might want to put a different guy in the starting lineup and then have Khalil Ware come off the bench where he can still have like a big impact, but also run lineups that make more sense in terms of having an ability to shoot the ball. And Bruce Brown gives you that as a catch and shoot option in that starting lineup.
Yeah.
So
I like that. I just do like the idea of, even if the spacing isn't great, it's a really good defensive lineup outside of Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, if they don't want to do that, then I mean that's again, it's an offensive league, so maybe
Right.
you want to go that direction.
it's an offensive league. It's highly offensive.
Yeah, I'm pretty offended by it constantly.
yeah.
The things that happen, Luka being traded to the Lakers.
Yeah. God.
Charlotte Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets.
So I have them. So one of them, I just have Nicholas Batum because you know what? Bring him back to the Hornets.
You can't put him back on the Hornets.
Put him back
You
on the
can't.
Hornets.
It's bad. It's bad karma.
He's a good wing defender. He can make open threes. Maybe it's what they need. If not him, and they want to go younger as well, I have Zaire Williams. I actually have Zaire. I'm pretty high on Zaire, who was originally on the Grizzlies Nets last season. I think he's going to have a good NBA career, and some team should invest in him. But
Sooner
yeah,
than later. But
for sure.
yeah, I have them going a really different route. I have them going Chris Paul, genuinely, because they do need a secondary playmaker off the bench, and this is like a factor for choosing Chris Paul, and I don't think it's a factor for a lot of players. But Chris Paul has shown his ability to mentor guards throughout his career. If there's one thing that LaMelo Ball needs, it's a guy like Chris Paul in his ear. He needs someone to tell him how to play the game of basketball in the right way, because LaMelo is so talented that he can get away with playing stupid basketball and still put up good numbers, but it's not winning basketball, and it never will be. And if the Hornets want to be a winning team, your superstar needs to be a winning player.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I agree. I like my free agent signing, but you know what, Chris Paul, actually, it does make more sense. I just don't know if Chris Paul would be willing to go to Charlotte.
yeah, he might not be.
But it's still the ideal free agent signing.
Right.
Next up, Utah Jazz. I have them. I mean, you're obviously wanting to go the super young route, so
Yeah.
go get a young guy. Somehow try and get Kuminga. Try and get. I think Trey Mann is a really good guard, even though they did. No, they got Ace Bailey. Oh, they got Walter Clayton, and they have like Isaiah Collier. They have Keontae George. So maybe you don't want another guard, but I still think Trey Mann is so talented that if the Hornets don't want to bring him back, he's still just a really good option to have. And then like Zaire Williams again, and then Quentin Grimes again. I don't know how they'd afford Quentin Grimes, but. And also, yeah, do you want it when you have Keontae George? I don't know. But just overall, just keep it young.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
I
free
shouldn't, wait, hold on. I shouldn't be.
Yeah, go ahead.
I shouldn't be saying that. Oh my gosh, someone calling me. I think it's still going, though.
Okay.
You don't want to say keep it young in Utah, but I just want to point that out real quick. That's not what I mean. Okay, go ahead.
Jesus, dude.
We literally live here, too. That's the funny
I know, that's dude, we live here. Do you know how many times I see Karl Malone's name? Because he's bought so many different like car dealerships, and he's like put his name on centers and stuff like that. Like, he is tied into life here.
Yeah.
You see him all the time. It's not like this like basketball player that you just no, you see Karl Malone's name all the time.
He's already the butt of the joke everywhere else in the world. But even just living here, you just see it even more.
Like, people will ask, like, oh, where are you going to play your AAU game? I'm going to the Karl Malone Athletic Center. Oh, where are you getting your car from? Karl Malone dealership. Like, it's inescapable.
It's so evil.
But, yeah, no. So, with the Utah Jazz, there's a lot of free agents they could go get. And, I know this guy isn't actually a free agent.
Tinder notification.
But let's... Tinder notification. Corby.
I haven't even been using that shit, bro.
Corby.
God. Dude, I should have put my shit on Do Not Disturb. God damn it.
Anyway, this guy isn't necessarily a free agent. But you're going to see where I'm going, because this guy's acting like a free agent. Get Ace Bailey on the team. What are we doing? Like, get your rookie on the team. Your what, 5th overall pick that he was? Get him on the team. Because he's acting like a free agent right now. He might as well be, because he's damn sure not on the Utah Jazz right now. Like,
okay, I agree with you, but he did land in Utah yesterday, and he is already on the social media again. And so he is. I think he's good.
So he's good.
I think he's good.
Then in that case, go get Jonathan Kuminga.
Okay, then yeah, that's smart. I do think, I'm pretty sure with Ace Bailey, it's like, I think he's fine playing in Utah, and that's why he flew here. I think it's just his agents that are going crazy. Dude, how many I got like 3 Tinder notifications the last minute. What the hell? They just boosted my shit, bro. What the hell?
Damn.
All right, cool.
You hit 300 subscribers, and man,
and they all
start
on
boosting your
yours.
shit.
All right, cool. That's enough Jazz talk. Sacramento Kings, I think they just need like a defensive guard. I know they have Devin Carter. Or maybe they declined Devin Carter. I think something happened with Devin Carter recently. I don't know. Gary Payton is not. It's the rumors have said he's not coming back to the Warriors. You get Gary Payton or you get DeAnthony Melton, 2 defensive guards, maybe even like a Dolan Wright. Even though I think these 2 are better than Dolan Wright, but yeah,
I have Gary Payton too. Pretty simple. I mean, that's just exactly what they need. What they need is another rebuild, unfortunately, because I'm sorry, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis, you might win a playoff series.
No, you won't.
But you probably won't. Not in the West.
Dude, I just realized so they're so similar to the Bulls, right? Having LaVine, having DeRozan, European big. Yeah, go get your Caruso. When Gary Payton was like-
just, I mean, look, it's not like a bad team, but what is this team's future? What are you actually looking at here? A 30, what, is he 36 now? 36-year-old DeMar DeRozan?
Yeah, probably around 36. I don't know exactly.
DeMar DeRozan, being the age that he is, Domantas Sabonis is almost 30, I believe. I don't know that he's quite 30 yet. LaVine's in the same boat. Why didn't you just keep Fox?
I don't know.
I mean, and he might have just wanted out, and I would have too if Jeremy Lamb was running my front office. Corby said it earlier, and I'll say it now. Jeremy Lamb has his dick in that franchise.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about them. Like, there's some franchises that are so poverty, and maybe they'd be better in the East because there's less competition. But I don't care. You're in the West.
You're in the West.
They're
very
early prediction. They might be like 14th in the West next year. Like, there's some good teams in the West.
Yeah, 14th is crazy though.
Hey, we go down the team. We're not gonna do it right now. We go down the teams. I think so.
You don't think Utah is worse than
That's
them?
the one team.
That's the one team.
That's the one team.
You know?
Yeah, you're looking through the West teams, and they're all at least looking decent.
Yeah.
Maybe Portland. No, I think Portland's better. Portland's better than Sacramento.
Yeah. If Anthony Davis gets hurt, then Dallas is the worst team in the West.
I guess if anyone gets hurt, I guess AD's injury prone, but I like
that's
Dallas.
my only thing. So
Cooper Flag might get you more wins than
he might actually. But.
He might get you more wins than LaVine, DeRozan, and Sabonis combined.
Well, that's crazy. I don't know. I don't know about all that, but
all right.
Yeah, New York Knicks.
They have like no money, so I just gave them either Luke Kennard or Bruce Brown.
Yep, give them Bruce
some
Brown.
minimum guys.
Yeah. Nothing crazy.
Just get some connecting pieces, or Luke Kennard, a shooter. They do need like a legit shooter, but
like,
not campaign.
just give him something like that. Not campaign, not Landry Shamet.
Yeah. Cool. Lakers is obvious. They need a center.
Yep.
I have either Clint Capella, Larry Nance Jr., or Brook Lopez. I think out of the 3, I think Capella's the best option.
Yeah.
Maybe Larry Nance because he's like a little bit more athletic,
Send
can
him back
play
to
make a little bit
Lakers.
more.
Yeah.
But they do need like if you want defense here, then you go Capella and rebounding.
I picked Clint Capella because I personally think that they need that far more, like just that like lob threat and the defense and the rebounding far more than they need anything else.
Dude, what a good life going from Trae Young as your point guard to Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are just 2 super obvious teams. Now with the Magic, I think if you can find a way and go get Malik Beasley, who right now is dealing with some allegations of gambling.
Beasley.
Look, it sounds to me like the Pistons don't want him back because of it. But if you want to buy low, you might have to buy low. And in the Magic, they could use a shooter like Malik Beasley if you still don't believe in Jet Howard. Who do you have?
I have him going Bruce Brown. Again, he's just a guy I kind of like as that veteran minimum signing, and he can do a lot of things for you. But he's in that same kind of like, he's worse than Malik Beasley as like a shooter and everything, but he's just another guy that can like fit into the defensive identity of that team already.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much one of these guys is going to fix your offense. Malik Beasley might be the only one, but I'm not trusting that right now.
Yeah,
So
probably not.
Yeah.
Dallas Mavericks, they don't have much money. I think they need a lead guard. I went Kevin Porter Jr. I think he's worth the risk.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna have to pay him that much. He wasn't really that good. He was good for like a month on the Bucks, and then after that, he just completely fell off. So you give him $4 million a year. There's no risk with it. There's a lot of reward. If he doesn't work out, then you have Brandon Williams, who's great.
Yeah.
And I think they have one more guard. It's like if you bring back Dinwiddie, then maybe.
Yeah. They have Jaden Hardy.
Oh, and Jaden Hardy, which I don't know. I think he's more of a 2 personally. Even though they have a lot of 2s on that team. But yeah, KPJ, no risk.
Yeah, I mean, I had Chris Paul, but honestly, I like KPJ better now that you say it. But
Yeah, I think he has a way higher ceiling.
Chris Paul was just my logic because it's like you only really need him as a 1-year rental until Kyrie comes back.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Brooklyn Nets, I think they need to spend the farm, and you either get Kuminga or you get Grimes, or if you can somehow, well, no, don't get Giddey because you just drafted like 4 point guards in the draft, so don't get Giddey. But yeah, Quentin Grimes or Kuminga.
Yep. I think you re-sign Cam Thomas as well.
All right. Yeah.
And you sign and trade for Kuminga. Yeah, at this point, I've accepted that Kuminga is going elsewhere, and we can talk about it when we get to the Warriors. But it's a given at this point.
And it honestly might have to be the net. If it's just strictly free agency, it has to be the Nets. If
Yeah.
there is some sort of trade, then it's like that's where it gets weird.
Yep.
But the Nets have the money to do it, and that you literally have to spend money when you're in the league,
Mm-hmm.
or they fine you, or I think they give it to the rest of the players on the roster,
Yeah.
like evenly. So if you have to use it, he's the best prospect to use it on.
Yeah, no,
in
for sure.
free agency. The Nuggets, they need either a backup big or backup point guard, depending on if Russell Westbrook comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Backup big, that's really cheap. Luke Cornett. That is
Yeah.
a better option than when Cousins was on your team, than when DeAndre Jordan was on your team, and he's going to get more run, hopefully, than Zeke Naji, who
Yep.
you might kind of believe in, whatever. And then they also need a backup point guard. Markelle Fultz is another one of those guys where you pay him $3 million in a year and say, hey, prove yourself so you can get paid next season.
Yeah.
And maybe if you could only sign one guard, maybe he's not the one that's the most safe because you are a contender. But personally, I think there's high upside. Now, there's a very low floor. Like, he could
Yeah.
literally just be unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I also think he can be a good cutter as a point guard where you can play next to Jokic.
That's true. Yeah. No, I mean, I like those picks too. I personally went Al Horford because I like his experience. I like his pedigree. I like what he brings to the table as a backup big.
Yeah.
He's just a pretty ideal modern backup big when it comes right down to it. And yeah, there's those other guys and you can take a chance, but you don't want to take many chances when it comes to like having Nikola Jokic because you don't know. I mean, he's good. He's really good. You don't know how long you guys are going to be good for with this core. So
Yeah. But they've been taking that chance. It's like you say, they don't want to take it. They've been taking it the last couple of years with DeAndre Jordan. I guess Deron Holmes was the chance, and unfortunately,
and hopefully he's healthy next year because that answers a lot of their problems if he's good.
yeah, for sure.
Yep. Next
Pacers.
team, Pacers, bring back Miles Turner.
Bring back Miles Turner. That's all
it.
we're gonna say.
Just be ready when Tyrese comes back.
Yeah,
in
I
a
guess
year.
maybe now that I think about it, they might want another point guard because Halliburton went down. But I mean, they have Nemhard, they have TJ McConnell. I think Nemhard can slide to the one.
Yeah.
and it'll be fine. Maybe that'll actually help him develop more.
Don't play with it too much. You don't need to be competitive this year.
No. Pelicans. This is not only just like a positional fit, but just on vibes.
Yeah.
Larry Nance Jr. This dude was like the funniest dude when he was on the Pelicans, as in like great chemistry with the teammates. His social media was hilarious. He'd post a meme after every win, and he kind of did that on the Hawks, but you could tell he loved the Pelicans unit. I think he was traded to Atlanta, so I think he'd love to come back. The fans would embrace him. The fans love him, and overall, I mean, yeah, if one of if Derek Queen isn't a good rookie center, because most rookie centers are not good, then Larry Nance Jr. could be a great backup big to Yves Missi, or maybe even a starter. Who knows? But I think it's a great fit.
Yep. I agree with that actually.
What'd you have?
I had Chris Paul again, but again, I'm moving away from Chris Paul and I'll go Larry Nance Jr. I don't know. My logic for Chris Paul is just like, again, they don't have like a second playmaker off the bench, but Poole will probably run the bench unit a lot, even if he starts.
I think it'll be. I guess Alvarado. I guess he won't like run the unit, but he's a decent playmaker.
Yeah,
He tries a lot.
he's decent. I mean, and if TJ McConnell can do it,
then yeah, I think Jose. Yeah, I mean, I guess Jose doesn't have that 9-foot jumper, but
he does.
He has everything else.
Yeah. So no, I like Larry Nance Jr. there.
Yeah.
Pistons.
Honestly, I just had them bringing back. Well, I don't. Maybe they won't bring back Malik Beasley. So in case they don't bring back Malik Beasley, Karis LeVert, might not return to the Hawks. So you can go get him to replace that, and then just bring back Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder said on some Instagram Live, he was like, the Pistons aren't waiting for me. Like, he's like, I love Detroit, but the Pistons aren't waiting for me. I still think if you're Detroit, you bring him back because he was super valuable to your team.
Yeah. I have them bringing in Luke Kennard just as like a pure shooter to replace the Malik Beasley shooting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you get Jaden Ivey back next year. And if he's healthy and he does what he's supposed to do, that replaces Dennis Schroeder pretty easily.
That's true.
Or Malik Beasley, either of those guys.
Yeah, it's interesting what they'll do because you don't know. Yeah, will he start the two next to Cade like he was before? Or maybe because of fit things, like you don't. Yeah, maybe you
don't know for sure. You don't know. But yeah.
Cool.
Okay, Raptors.
Toronto Raptors, I just think they need a backup point guard who's super complimentary. He can also play because there's a lot of good, like Scotty Barnes is a good creator. Ingram, in my opinion, is a good creator. Quickly is the point guard, obviously.
Yeah.
Malcolm Brogdon would just play perfectly next to these guys, and he'd be a good backup guard. You wouldn't have to pay him too much.
Yep.
So that's who I am.
Sorry, I'm just checking. Yeah. This is gonna be funny. Anyway, we're going Luke Kennard again for the Raptors because they need shooting.
They do.
They don't have anybody that like you look at their rotation. It's like a lengthy guy who can drive and score in the mid-range and score at the basket. Oh, a lengthy guy who can drive and score in the mid-range and score at the basket. Oh, a lengthy guy who can drive and score. You know what I mean? It's the same.
They have a type.
They have a type. They need a guy who can just like operate off of the playmaking of Scotty Barnes and Quickly and Ingram and these guys that are going to operate best with the ball in their hands. Because Scotty Barnes is not a catch and shoot player. Brandon Ingram is not a catch and shoot player. Emmanuel Quickly is not a catch and shoot player.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett is not a catch and shoot player.
The only one's Grady Dick.
It's Grady Dick, and you need guys like that in the modern NBA because of the way defenses play teams. You can't afford to have a lack of spacing.
Yeah. Houston Rockets, I said Luke Kennard, but to be honest, I'm changing my answer to nobody. I think they should just play Reed Shepherd. Maybe Kennard right now you could say is better than Shepherd, but I just think if Shepherd does what he's supposed to do, he should be way better than Kennard. Yeah. Just play your guys, Cam Whitmore, all that. Yeah. They have guys. Just play them.
For the Houston Rockets, I'm also taking Luke Kennard. So that's 3 Luke Kennards in a row.
I just picked Luke Kennard. Yeah.
And I agree with that too, because I think personally, you play Reed Shepherd. But if he doesn't work out, then it's nice to have Luke Kennard as backup, and you can just sign him for a vet minimum. So
yeah. All right, San Antonio Spurs. I think they need a backup big, so you either go Kevon Looney or Al Horford. I think this is actually a realistic. I haven't seen any rumors about it.
Yeah,
but this might be a realistic landing for Horford because, do you want to play behind Jokic? Do you want to play behind both Mobley and Jared Allen? Maybe, maybe not. Playing behind or potentially next to Wemby in some rotations, I think Horford would just. If they're willing to pay him just a little bit more than the minimum, I think he'd be willing to do it.
Yeah, he probably would. And, I mean, those are definitely good signings. But this team does feel like they're still a year away, honestly. They have so many young guys, and they need to figure out how all these guys fit together and see who they really want to emphasize and who they want to keep. You have Wemby, but what does Fox look like next to Wemby? What does Castle look like? What does Harper look like? All of these guys that you haven't really seen play cohesively with one another. So for
Luke
that reason,
So Luke Kennard.
Yep, we're going Luke Kennard again. No. So for that reason, I actually have them going and getting a big that you might be able to take a little bit more of a chance on and see if he fits with them this year. Give me Thomas Bryant. That dude played his ass off in the playoffs this year. He really showed me something, and I don't know. I just love that energy. I love that he has the ability to shoot the 3, and you already have so much talent with Victor Wembanyama. You just really need an energy guy off the bench because your guards are going to drive your offense when you're the Spurs. They have so many guards, dude.
Yeah.
Almost too many. But, you just need a big that isn't going to need the ball in his hands, isn't going to need to do anything. He is going to rebound and hustle his ass off. And Thomas Bryant does that.
I love your logic. I honestly forgot Thomas Bryant was a free agent, or I probably would have picked him for a couple teams. But yeah,
I didn't pick him for other teams because he doesn't necessarily he's an unknown. So I feel like you pick the player that fits your timeline and is a little bit safer.
Yeah,
but
Suns have no money, so for that reason, I went Keaton Wallace. I feel like Keaton Wallace is. So he was on the Hawks. That's why I know about him, right? Yeah. I think he'd be willing to. He's gonna have to take a minimum, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit of an older guy. He's a defensive guard, kind of like Kaysen, but not. He doesn't play all the way like him. But yeah, just get another. Don't get another shooting guard. You already have enough of those. But an actual point guard, he could work maybe next to Booker. You never know.
No, I think they should get a point guard too, but not Keaton Wallace.
Who's that?
Let me just describe the Phoenix Suns too in a word. Broken. That franchise is broken. Bradley Beal is actively sucking money out from your franchise like a vacuum in an HVAC system. Booker is great. We know Booker's great. Jalen Green's a super unknown in terms of how he's going to fit there. Dylan Brooks should be fine. He should be solid. He'll be Dylan Brooks. But you're probably not going anywhere this year. Let's be real about the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are a playing team at best. So why not take a chance? Why not take a shot in the dark on a guy, a point guard, who can play high-level defense, which you don't have on any part of your roster. He can play positions 1 through 4, right?
Oh, I know where this is going.
Let's bring Ben Simmons onto the team. Why not? I mean, we already have this mangled mess of a roster that has been constructed in the dead of night by 3 blind mice. Why don't we just throw Ben Simmons on there and see if he can show some glimmer of what he showed back when he was an all-star and an all-defensive player? Because if that team needs 2 things, it's defense and passing. And Ben Simmons, even at his worst, brings you those things.
Yeah. I I agree. I mean, that makes sense. Honestly, that's another free agent. I totally forgot was a free agent because for some reason I didn't see him on the website. But yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
As long as he's willing to, no, he's gonna have to take a near minimum contract. So
Yeah.
I love that one. Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they just kind of need another wing. I think they have a lot of good forwards, but not wings. If that makes it, like they have a guy like Leonard Miller who doesn't play, even backup center.
Yeah.
Not only the guy you just drafted, Luka Garza is decent enough to have a roster spot.
Yep.
So I want Jake Larabia. You know, he didn't have the best shooting year last year, I think, but overall was actually a good like rebounder, passer, and all that. And he came into the NBA draft as a pure sharpshooter.
Yeah.
So if he can just get that shot going, he's definitely worth taking a flyer on. And honestly, a couple more teams could use Jake Larabia. But I like his fit a lot as a backup with the Wolves.
I do too. And I have them going a similar route where they need that wing. But I personally think Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you just go and re-sign him. Obviously, it's a little dependent on price.
Yeah,
but I mean, he just fits really well. The thing about the Timberwolves is when I look at them, they have a good roster. They have a really good roster. There are maybe a couple holes like where you would want Naz Reid to be a better defensive center, but honestly, what he gives you on offense supplants what he costs you on defense.
Supplant? Is that a word?
I'm pretty sure it's a word. I'm pretty sure I'm using that correctly.
And cats and
Ah,
kids.
supplant. So that was
I still
incorrect.
didn't even know that
So
one.
it's the plant, but that basically just means it replaces it makes up for. Anyway, nice little detour there. I just think that the only way you get better as the Minnesota Timberwolves is if Anthony Edwards gets better. If Anthony Edwards plays like a legit superstar, and he can, and he has at times, but I mean consistently, we need to see that playoff run out of Ant.
Okay, also, I agree, but also kind of thinking about it, Ant played good in the playoffs, and maybe he needs to play this like great, but also his team could have made more open threes. Like his team missed a ton of open threes versus OKC.
We were talking about this too. When you are the superstar, empty the goddamn clip. We're not here to rely on other people to win us the game. If Anthony Edwards goes, 7 for 30 and they lose the game, I like that more than him going, 7 for 13 and they lose the game because you relied on Dante DiVincenzo and Mike Conley to win you the game.
I understand that from Ant's perspective, as an NBA fan perspective, all of that. But from a front office perspective, I still do think you look at that series, you don't go, Ant needs to do more. I think from a front office perspective, you go, Ant needs more shooters. And maybe that isn't the real problem, but I think when you're the front office, you're like, let's go get him a shooter.
Maybe.
So
yeah,
because
like
Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a great player, or maybe good player, but like he is a very streaky shooter.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he is.
So
and
personally,
when he's on, he's on. When he's not on, he's not on. But honestly, the make or break player for the next, I would even go 2 years of Timberwolves basketball is Rob Dillingham. If he can develop into their starting point guard of the future with the talent that he's shown, him next to Ant is a scary duo. And he doesn't even have to be this like superstar, but if he can be like a good starting point guard,
just a quick intermission.
I mean, that's
Jabari Smith Jr. just got paid 122 million over 5 years, or 122 million over 5 years, which is
that's roughly 25 a year.
25 million a year. I think
that's a little under 25 a year. Yeah.
Let's just react to this real quick.
What?
I think his potential makes this worth it, but I don't think he's shown enough. He has not shown
this
enough.
Will either be a really good contract or a really bad contract because 5 years is a long time. So either in like 4 years he's going to be a really good player making 25 million, which is great, or in 4 years he's going to be a guy that they are unable to trade.
Yeah. I don't know about unable to trade because 24 million in like 2 or 3 years isn't going to be a lot of money, and he'll always be a shooter who can play defense at the very least.
Yeah.
Also, I think that's going to be a steal of a contract. It looks large right now.
122 is, but over 5 years, and 5 years is a long time, but 122 is just the number that you look at and you're like, wow.
Yeah, I want to see. No, we haven't missed any of the news.
Is that an Angel Reese stat line?
Yeah.
Go down to that real quick.
Oh wait.
Yeah. What are
over her last 4 games? She's been killing it over the last 4 games.
She's been doing good?
Yeah, she's been doing good. 24 points last game.
What's she averaging on the season now?
I don't know. It has to be a lot better though.
I mean, God, it's better than that. I would hope so.
Okay, cool. Next team we can talk about OKC Thunder. I think you bring back a Thunder legend in the rebuild era, Al Horford.
Yeah,
being next to Chet, being potentially, I guess, next to Hartenstein. Actually, I don't like that. personally, I don't like Hartenstein returning next year, but I think it will happen. Like I haven't seen any rumors about the Thunder making big trades. But overall, another backup big. Get Horford a ring. He was in the rebuilding era.
I like it. I'm not mad at it. It was my second pick. My first pick is personally Kevon Looney because
rebounds.
That team struggled to rebound a lot against the Pacers. And we thought, I think originally in our video, we were like, yeah, the Thunder should definitely win the rebounding battle. But they really struggled against the Pacers to corral rebounds. And Kevon Looney is the best defensive rebounder in the free agency class. And I think if there's one team that can afford what Kevon Looney doesn't give you, it's the Thunder. Right?
Yeah. I like that a lot. Portland Trailblazers. I went Malcolm Brogdon. So they have both.
Back.
Bring him back. He was actually good. He shot over 40% when he was played for the Blazers. So right now it's Scoot and Drew Holiday, I believe, is probably going to be the starting 1 and 2, and then Shaedon Sharp off the bench. I think you get another guy who I don't want the other guy to run the unit. I want Scoot Henderson to have as many off-ball weapons as he can, and Brogdon's a guy who can sometimes play on ball, but he's going to be also good off-ball next to Scoot in case Drew Holiday gets hurt or gets traded. We don't know if he'll be rerouted or not. Just a complimentary guy.
No, I agree. And I also went with a complimentary guy in a different direction. I feel like the Portland Trailblazers, with what they showed last year and with what their roster looks like, a lot of W's in there. Again, we're getting down to the W's too, so it's going to get even worse here in a second. Right. But anyway, you got Kamara, you got Klingon, you got Scoot, and they've shown now, like, okay, Scoot is who we're committed to, right? You have the keys. Let's go do it. Shaedon Sharp, I like him a lot. So they really have like a really solid roster where I feel like they could contend for a top 6 seed even in the West this coming year, depending on how Scoot does.
Contend for it for sure. I don't know if they'll get it.
I don't know if they'll get it, but I think they could contend for it.
Definitely aim
So what they miss a lot, I really think, is a point of attack defender. Because Kamara is a really good defender, but he's more of like a wing defender / paint defender. He's like that kind of Draymond Green type of guy. So for that reason, go get a guy that you were trying to get like a couple of years ago. Go get Gary Payton the second. They tried to get him a couple of years ago, and I feel like he fits even better with the roster they currently have now. So
did he not play for Portland?
No.
But what was the team he played for that he like played awful? Like I swear he like couldn't shoot a 3.
It wasn't after the Warriors, because after the Warriors he signed with Portland. And then he was hurt and didn't play, and then he immediately got traded back to the Warriors.
No, he played 15 games for Portland.
Oh, he did? Well, then that was the team.
And then he shot... I'm trying to find it. I can barely... Oh, never mind. He shot like 50% from 3. What the... Dude, I don't remember this. I guess he played really good for Portland, so maybe he should return. I like that. Also, though, that is a little bit of a lie because they do have a point of attack defender. And his name is Matisse Thybulle. He accepted his option, So you never know. Maybe he could play. But I like it though.
Yeah, Matisse Thybulle accepted that.
Now we're down to the bottom 2. Cam's favorite team, the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, you go first, and then I'll go on.
They're most successful when they had a guy like Jordan Poole. Give me Trey Mann. I think he wouldn't be as good as Jordan Poole in that role, but like that's a guy where if you just give him the keys for like, hey, 15 minutes a night. He'll play more than 15, right? But like, let's say 15 minutes a night, you have the keys, go do something. He's going to be able to capitalize in a way that he plays really similar to Jordan Poole, actually. Especially because, dude, the swag, he has the headband, he has the low hanging shorts. I know if you saw a recent interview with Cooper Flagg hates both those things. He was like, you are not a hooper if you have those two, but I don't care. It looks really cool on Trey Mann.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, like the short or like the short socks. Yeah, and the low hanging shorts.
I swear he didn't like mess with most basketball obscure accessories, but no, I like it.
It's a risk, but I feel like you're the Warriors. You kind of need to take a risk to be at that level, right? Especially with Steph and Jimmy getting older. Yeah. So yeah, I would say Trey Mann is a fine pickup, especially if he works out. More important to me is signing and trading Kuminga for Cam Johnson. I think that's the most important thing. That's my route. That's the most important thing, I think. So re-sign Kuminga and then trade him because he's not coming back to the Warriors, and I don't know if it's him, and I don't know if it's the Warriors. Something tells me it's more the Warriors than it is him, because I think all the guys on the team seem to really love him, and he seems to enjoy being on the team. He wants that opportunity to like be a star, and I mean, God damn it, he showed what he can do in the playoffs. Like, he was their best player when he played in that series against the Timberwolves.
Yeah. I agree.
So the Warriors front office isn't willing to give him that because they're hyper focused on Steph and Jimmy and that era and trying to focus on that, which isn't the wrong thing to do. I mean, you have a guy of Steph's caliber. You need to focus on him and make sure that he has the pieces around him to succeed. And Cam Johnson is a guy who fits perfectly next to Steph. Shooter, wing, can defend, not like an elite defender, but like he's a really ideal basketball player. And I think he would fit really good on the Warriors. My ideal, obviously, is them getting Kuminga back, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I think it's just, I like it. Like, ideally, Cam Johnson would be a great player on the Warriors. The problem is I just don't think they have the leverage for that because we were talking about it earlier. I mean, the Nets can, before re-signing Cam Thomas, they can go ahead and sign Kuminga. And I actually don't think they would need a sign and trade too. Like, I think they have, it said like 32 million in free cap.
No, the Nets wouldn't need it, but he's a restricted free agent, so the Warriors can match their offer.
But would the Warriors match that?
They would match it and then sign and trade because the Warriors have the leverage in that situation.
Maybe, but also like sign and trade at that point, that'd have to be with the Nets. Because like, do you think another team would sign and trade? Like would trade for Kuminga at over 30 million a year?
No,
because that's
I think the Nets would, and I want Cam Johnson, so it's kind of like,
yeah. I just also think because of the cap. So here's okay, if the Warriors do that, if they match it, and the Nets don't try and trade for him after the Warriors match it, then what? Then the Warriors just pay Kuminga and that's that. I don't think the Warriors are willing to take that risk.
Corby.
Okay, I understand.
Then I'm happy. Okay.
So much money is going out that I just don't. Would the Warriors be willing to take that risk? I don't know. So I just see many ways where Kuminga goes to the Nets, and unfortunately, y'all don't get.
Maybe we don't get anything, but everything I've seen says the Warriors intend to sign and trade him.
They do. Okay.
Or one of either apparently Cam Johnson or Kobe White of all people, which I don't think works for either party. I don't think Kobe White's. I mean, maybe Kobe White's like a good fit on the Warriors, but is he coming off the bench? Like, where is he fitting? Because he's a starting lineup player,
right?
Like
I could see him as a 6-man.
He was a borderline all-star this year. So
yeah,
is he happy in that 6-man role where he's like, I'm 24, 25, I'm like in the prime of my career. You're going to move me to the bench now.
Also, yeah, you're going to run Kuminga next to Matas, next to Noah Senge, who are all like non-shooting forwards who love driving to the basket.
It's just a weird. So I think Cam Johnson is the ideal move if you can get him. And if not, I guess you just got to settle for bringing Kuminga back. Oh, well.
Or if not, that doesn't happen, you get Trey Man, and then you're happy. Nope, you wouldn't be as happy. But cool. Last team. Yeah. Washington Wizards. I know they should be like trying to tank, trying to lose, but they still do need a center. I went Clint Capella. I think he'd actually play, even though Sarr's not a shooter, he'd play well next to Sarr because Sarr is actually a good connective passer for a power forward, actually like a great one. And then they need rebound. That team cannot rebound. If you look at who they have, honestly, like if they still had Denny Avdia from a year prior, Denny would be their best rebounder on the team. Yeah, and they don't even have him. They have no rebounding. Get Clint Capella.
Yep. I got them Kevon Looney.
Same
logic, just less defense, more rebounding, and more than a guy that kind of like more so. I mean, Capella does too, but just like fits next to the like he will not call for the ball at all. He can set screens for their guards. He can like open up room with those screens because they won't defend him at the 3-point line. Guys like Bub Carrington, and AJ Johnson. So
yeah.
Yeah,
and Trey Johnson. And Trey I like Johnson. That. I like that logic a lot. So, so cool. That's all 30 teams.
That's all 30.
Then, let us know what you guys think.
Yep.
And then we'll go ahead and take a break, and then we'll be talking about all the trades that have happened so far. And
this week's goal, we're building a petition to bring Jonathan Kuminga back to the Warriors by any means necessary. This is integral to my emotional and physical well-being, and if you care about me in any manner, shape, or form, you will sign this petition.
All right, I guess now I have to. I have to sign the petition. You just pressured me into doing it. I don't want to be here.
1,000 subscribers, we get Zach Edey to dunk on me.
Let's see if we can get that.